Hello everyone and welcome to your walkthrough for worksheet 3E. This is the last worksheet in unit 3 and it's the last one with anything new on it. So in this section what you're going to be doing is graphing a bunch of stuff, a bunch of different types of graphs. There'll be a cotangent one, a secant one. So some of these, aren't our typical sine and cosine, the ones we focus on mainly. So, if you're using a calculator, it'll be really helpful with these once again. Okay, so let's start by taking a peek at number 3. Okay, so number 3, we have a cosine, 3 cosine of x times pi divided by 2. So what's going on here is we have an amplitude of 3, and so it's going to go up 3, down 3. And then there is going to be a period shift. Well, the stuff that's attached to that x are pi, it's half a pi basically, so pi divided by 2. So to figure out what my period is, I'm going to do 2 pi divided by pi divided by 2. You do keep, change, flip, and do all the work for that. Your pi's will cancel off, and you'd be left with a 4. Well, that is not very helpful when you look at the scale that they want to do this from. So they want to go from negative 4 pi to positive 4 pi. It would make a lot more sense if those pi's weren't there. So this is, I don't know, it's kind of a typo, I would say, because the problem is set up a lot more for going from negative 4 to positive 4. But whatever, we'll do it anyways. So our amplitude is 3, our period is 4. So cosines always start at 1 and then go down. Well, this one, it's not flipped or anything, but it has been amped up a bit. So we're going to go up to 3, put a dot, then we're going to go down, then up, and we're going to do a full period within 4 units. Well, I counted by half pi's, and you have to think about, well, how much is 4 going to be? Well, 4 is going to be in between pi, which is 3.14, and 1.5 pi's. So that's why I put my dot right there. It's not at the nice intersection, so it's you're kind of guessing on these. I did that, another time, and I did that another time, and it looks like it's going to end up around 4 pi. 4 pi is about 12. Because 4 times 3.14 is about 12. And so that's why I ended my dot right there. Like I said, it's not exact because the scale is in radians and my period is not in radians. So that's why it's a little goofy. So anyways, halfway in between those dots, I put the lower dots and then I just connect them. And you end up with a graph that looks like this. It's probably not the most accurate graph in the world, but that's because they gave me a goofy scale to work with, so that's their fault. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5, we have 3 different modifications to a sine curve. First one is we're shifting the whole thing down 1, and that is my phase shift. I call it phase shift. Sometimes talks about left and right shift. I called phase shift any kind of shift up, shift down, left or right. So on this one I said down 1 for the phase shift. The amplitude is what we're multiplying by out front. That's a half, so this is going to go up a half, down a half. And then the period, we pull that 2 out, we divide 2 pi by it, and if you do that, you're going to end up with pi. And so since we have pi as our period, it's going to take a full rotation on pi in order to get a full period, okay? So first thing we do is move the whole graph down. Well, we got to figure out what we're counting by. So on the y-axis, I just counted by halves. So I could figure out the half amplitude. It wouldn't be in between. So I counted by halves. So I shift the whole thing down 1, and then my sine curve is going to start right in the middle, and then it's going to go up and then down because it's not flipped or anything like that. So we start right there in the middle. We do our period from, let's see. So yeah, we do our period from 0 to pi. So it's going to do a full up and down in between 0 and pi. So I do that on the left, I do that on the right, and I make sure that I'm only going up half a unit, down half a unit. And that's how I get this graph right here. Okay, so that is it for number 5. Let's take a look at number 11. So 11 says What do they say to do? Find the indicated quantity if it exists. So what is the phase shift of this graph or of this equation? So phase shift in this case is or shifting left and right. So what we need to do is there's a 2 pi in front of the x, and that's what we're going to factor out no matter what, and see what we get left over for the -4. So if I divide both of those by 2 pi, 2 pi goes out front, and I get 4 divided by 2 pi. Well, 4 divided by 2 pi, 4 over 2 reduces to 2, so we get 2 over pi, and since it's negative, we're going to be shifting to the right, so the opposite. So this is going to have a phase shift right of 2 divided by pi, and that is our answer. Okay, let's look at number 15. It says, come up with a simple trig function, so like sine is what I used, that satisfies all these conditions. So we need an amplitude of 5, so that's just going to go in front of the sine. We need a period of 6, so that's the hard bit. I go over to the right here and I plug it in for my equation for period. So I do 2 pi divided by k, switch those all around. You end up with k is pi divided by 3, and that's what I put in front of the parentheses. And then the phase shift is pi divided by 2. They don't say left or right. I love to say left or right. I think it's a lot more helpful. But since they didn't say, we'll assume it's positive. So when we plug it in, we make it negative. And that's what we end up with. And that is our entire equation. Okay. So that is it for worksheet 3E. Like I said, that's the end of the new stuff. And really, there's nothing that new on it. These are like the most complex sine and cosine functions that we've graphed so far, just because we got periods, period shifts, we have phase shifts, we have flipping, we have amplitude changes. So every little trick that you could possibly throw at it is in this worksheet. So that's where we're at. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'd love to sort you out with those. But other than that, let me know and get yourself ready for the Unit 3 exam, okay? There is a review 3F, and the answer key is on Schoology, all right? Talk to you later, and have a lovely day.